Out in the North Pacific Ocean, a research team arrives to study the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and its impact on marine life. While they're filming a promotional video, they're suddenly interrupted by a signal from a shark they've been tracking for over a year. The beacon shows she's approaching incredibly fast, so 4 divers suit up and head into the water to investigate. After searching the area for a bit, they find the carcass of a baby whale hopelessly tangled in old fishing nets. This marks the second dead whale they found in just 3 weeks, highlighting the severity of the pollution. On closer inspection, they realize its stomach is bloated with plastic and it's covered in massive bite marks. Suddenly, a large shark appears and swims right past Chris, though it doesn't try to attack him. Chris quickly realizes this isn't Lilith, the shark they've been tracking, which means a whole pack is coming. His theory is proven right when they are suddenly surrounded by a group of highly agitated sharks. Chris's wife, Sophia, monitors the feed from the boat and notices that all of these sharks are massive females. A few seconds later, the alpha they've been tracking, Lilith, finally emerges from the darkness. The team is stunned to see she's now 7 meters long, even though she was only 2.5 meters just 3 months ago. Chris realizes the situation is too dangerous and orders a retreat, but Sophia insists on getting a blood sample first. A terrified Chris tries to pierce Lilith's skin, but the sting only serves to make the shark angry. Lilith swims off in a rage, and the divers decide it is officially time to get out of the water.
However, Lilith begins circling them at high speed, creating a vortex that traps the divers. Sophia loses the camera feed and can only listen in horror as her husband and his team are torn apart by the beast. Desperate to save him, Sophia grabs a harpoon and jumps in, only to see Chris's severed arm floating in front of her. She continues her search through the bloody water until Lilith suddenly appears right in front of her face. The shark seems calm for a moment, but then it suddenly charges, forcing Sophia to fire her harpoon. Lilith swims off, but Sophia gets tangled in the netting attached to the shark's fin and is dragged into the deep. As the extreme pressure begins to rupture her eardrums, Sophia manages to pull out a knife and cut the net. Finally free, she struggles back to the surface as the sole survivor of the tragic mission. 3 years later in Paris, 2 guys are magnet fishing in the Seine when they accidentally pull up an old bomb. The police and the press quickly swarm the area, but fortunately, the old shell is no longer active. Officer Adele explains to reporters that finding unexploded WW2 shells in the river is actually quite common. He reassures the public that these old bombs haven't caused any real trouble for the city so far. Meanwhile, Sophia is now working at a local aquarium, trying to move on with her life. She tries to teach a group of kids about marine conservation, but they just mock her for a failed shark mission.
Overwhelmed by survivor's guilt, Sophia leaves the aquarium in a state of deep distress. Just then, she's approached by a young activist named Mika, who mentions Lilith's tracker signal. Mika takes Sophia to the headquarters of SOS, her grassroots ocean conservation group. Every member there is a huge fan of Sophia's past work and has been using her data to protect sharks. Sophia meets Mika's girlfriend Ben, a hacker who has been monitoring Lilith's beacon via a private server. Sophia argues that it's impossible since her servers are encrypted, but Ben proves she's bypassed the security. Ben reveals that Lilith has been hanging out in the river right here in Paris for the last 3 days. Since sharks aren't supposed to survive in freshwater, Sophia realizes that pollution has caused a massive mutation. Mika believes Lilith is just lost and struggling to survive in the urban environment. She plans to dive into the Seine tonight to try and communicate with the shark and guide it back to sea. Mika also mentions a recent accident at a bridge where a car fell into the water and the driver went missing. She wants Sophia to join the mission, but Sophia thinks the idea is suicidal and walks out. Back at her apartment, Sophia is haunted by the news of Lilith being so close to her. She digs out her old research equipment and breaks down while watching videos of her lost team. When the footage shows Lilith, Sophia finally opens the tracker and confirms Mika was telling the truth.
That night, Mika and Ben sail out onto the Seine and shopped near the bridge. Mika jumps into the dark water, but she can barely see anything through the thick urban pollution. When she finds the sunken car, she is horrified to see that it's covered in massive bite marks. Up on the surface, Ben hears the police approaching and pulls the safety rope to warn Mika. However, Mika wants to keep investigating, so she intentionally disconnects her safety line. Mika spots a massive shadow swimming near the car, but her flashlight fails to catch a clear image. Hearing the police sirens echoing above the water, she finally decides it's time to resurface. Ben has already fled the scene to avoid getting caught, leaving Mika to be arrested alone. On the police boat, Mika lies to Adel and says she was just trying to clean up the river. Adel doesn't buy her story for a second and takes her into custody for questioning. On the way to the station, the cops stop to clear out a homeless camp to make room for the upcoming triathlon. By the time Sophia reaches the bridge, the area is empty, but her tracker shows Lilith is still nearby. She follows the beacon to the abandoned camp and finds nothing but a dog growling at the water. In the darkness, neither of them notices the massive shark fin lurking silently under the bridge.
The next morning, Otto continues to interrogate Mika until she finally cracks and tells him about the shark.
Adele thinks she's making it up, but he's interrupted when another officer reports a local emergency. Near the riverbank, Sophia is still tracking Lilith and notices the shark is dangerously close to the shore. She shouts at a kid to get away from the water just seconds before the police arrive to escort her. She is taken to meet Adele and Mika at a new crime scene located right along the river. They found the body of a homeless man who has been brutally mauled to death. After examining the jagged wounds, Sophia confirms that a massive shark is definitely responsible. They take this evidence to Chief O'Neill, but he refuses to believe a shark could be in the river without proof. Adele and his dive team decide to go in and find that proof, with Sophia acting as their guide. 3 officers jump into the murky water and find a huge dead fish covered in shark bites. Mika has been following them from the shore and fears the cops are planning to kill Lilith. She calls Ben and tells her to hack the tracker beacon and disable it immediately. Ben is successful, and Sophia suddenly loses the signal on her tracking device. Underwater, the divers feel something large and powerful swimming in the darkness around them below them. Adele notices the safety rope go tense and helps Sophia pull the divers back onto the boat.
The shaken divers explain that they saw a massive shape, and a sonar sweep confirms Lilith is right there. Adele assumes Sophia intentionally turned off the beacon and blames her for putting his men in danger. Insulted and stressed, Sophia leaves the boat and finds Mika nearby. They get into a heated argument where Mika blames Sophia's past aggression for the death of her husband. This deeply upsets Sophia, and she walks away from the activists to deal with the police. At the station, Adele tells Chief O'Neill they must cordon off the river, even if it means canceling the triathlon. O'Neill is hesitant, fearing the political fallout from the mayor's office. Adele looks up Sophia's history online and reads about the tragic loss of her entire research team. This resonates with him, bringing back painful memories of the friends he lost during his time in the army. Meanwhile, Mika goes live on social media to tell her followers about the victim shark in the Seine. She argues that Lilith is a product of human neglect and deserves protection, not a death sentence. After seeing the viral video, Sophia tries to check the beacon, but the signal is still blocked. As she's leaving work, Adele approaches her and apologizes for his behavior on the boat. He asks her to join him for a high-stakes meeting with the mayor to discuss the shark threat.
Inside the mayor's office, the team tries to explain that the river is currently a death trap. However, the mayor has already spent a fortune on the triathlon and refuses to look bad in the press. She denies the existence of the shark and orders the cops to quietly handle the situation before the race. Afterwards, Sophia tells the officers their best hope is to lure Lilith to the bridge and sedate her. She explains that once captured, the Oceanographic Institute can take her to a safe sanctuary. She warns them that they only have a few minutes to move her once she's sedated or she will suffocate. Suddenly, Ben arrives and reveals that Lilith is actually hiding in the catacombs near the sewage reservoirs. She also admits she's working behind Mika's back, as Mika still thinks she can save the shark. Ben reactivates the tracker, showing a hidden access tunnel that connects the Seine to the catacombs. Sophia and the cops head to the tunnel by boat, but have to continue on foot through the narrow passages. The activists have already arrived, and Ben tries one last time to convince Mika not to dive. Ignoring the warnings, Mika jumps into the water with her sonar device just as the police arrive. Mika refuses to back down and tells her followers to stand their ground against the officers. At that moment, a large fin breaks the surface and begins circling Mika in the dark water. To everyone's absolute shock, a second, smaller fin soon joins the first one. Judging by the sizes, Sophia realizes that Lilith hasn't just survived, she has actually given birth. The baby shark approaches Mika, who tries to pet it like a domestic animal. Sophia screams for everyone to get out of the water, but Mika is convinced the shark is friendly. Suddenly, the fins vanish underwater, and Sophia realizes they are positioning for an attack. Adel jumps into the water to save Mika, but she bites his arm and tries to swim toward the shark. Lilith lunges out of the water and swallows Mika whole in a single brutal bite. The massive splash creates a wave that knocks several other activists into the water. Lilith then turns on her own baby and kills it, likely because it now carries the scent of humans. With the help of his team, Adel is pulled out of the water while the cops try to evacuate the screaming crowd. Panic takes over as people trip and fall, becoming easy prey for the rampaging Lilith. Ben is accidentally pushed into the water during the chaos and struggles to reach the ledge. Adel tries to reach her, but the stampeding crowd tramples Ben and she's eventually killed. Many of the activists who were pulled out are found to be missing limbs or severely wounded. A furious Adel opens fire on the water, but the shark is moving too fast for him to land a hit.
When another officer leans down to help a victim, the panicking crowd accidentally drags him into the river. His partners are unable to save him as Lilith drags him under to feed. In the narrow tunnel, the crowd piles up at the exit, leading to several people drowning in the crush. Moments later, the local hospitals are completely overwhelmed by the influx of shark attack victims. Sophia is devastated by the loss of life, but Adele reminds her that she did everything she could. They manage to retrieve the body of the baby shark, and Sophia begins a lab study on its biology. She finds horrifying mutations that prove the shark has fully adapted to survive in fresh water.
Sophia also confirms the baby was female and was already carrying her own offspring. This makes no biological sense since the shark was only about a month old. She concludes that the mutations allow for parthenogenesis, meaning the sharks can reproduce asexually. This means Lilith is the mother of a brand new species that could replace all marine life. If they don't find a way to eliminate every single one, the species will spread exponentially. The team meets with the mayor again, who complains about the political damage of the 12 deaths. An army representative points out the danger, but the mayor tries to downplay her own negligence.
Sophia demands that she tell the truth to the public and cancel the triathlon immediately. Instead, the mayor kicks her out and orders her staff to bury the story to protect the event. That afternoon, the mayor goes on TV and claims that reports of sharks in the Seine are just urban legends. At a local bar, Sophia and Adele drown their frustrations over the government's greed. Sophia asks Adele why he really left the army, and he confesses to a past failure during a rescue mission. He is determined not to be a coward this time, so Sophia proposes an illegal, off-the-books mission. Several officers agree to help them find the shark nest in the crypts and blow it up with explosives. They'll have to be incredibly fast, as they only have a 3-minute window to escape the blast. The plan is to set the bombs and clear the area before the entire structure collapses into the river. By the time they arrive at the river, the area is packed with tourists and athletes for the triathlon. The military is patrolling the water, making it difficult for the team to reach the crypts. 2 officers attempt to provide boat support, but the soldiers block them from the restricted zone. Onel, using her authority as part of the mayor's security, tricks the soldiers into letting them pass. Meanwhile, Adele and Sophia dive into the dark water and begin searching for the shark nest.
When they light a flare, they are horrified to see dozens of baby sharks circling above them. On the surface, the mayor officially starts the race, and hundreds of swimmers dive into the water. While the experts set the charges, Sophia uses a sonar device to lure Lilith into the trap. Suddenly, the baby sharks swarm one of the bomb experts and kill him in a matter of seconds. In the chaos, he drops the detonator. Sophia tells the others to remain perfectly still to avoid detection. However, the second expert panics and swims for the detonator, drawing the shark's attention. He manages to hit the button just as the pack swarms him and tears him apart. With only 3 minutes left on the timer, Sophia grabs Adel and uses a motorized propeller to escape. The massive explosion erupts behind them, successfully incinerating the entire nest of baby sharks. The cops on the boat see the plume of water and rush to pick up Sophia and a wounded Adel. They are relieved to find them alive, but the celebration is cut short. Sophia dives back in to check the perimeter and realizes that Lilith survived the blast. She surfaces and tries to scream a warning, but Lilith rams the boat with incredible force. The boat is flipped, and Lilith begins picking off the officers one by one.
Sophia and Adele manage to climb onto the overturned hull, watching helplessly as their team is eaten. Lilith then turns her attention toward the triathlon swimmers and begins a killing spree. The river quickly turns bright red as the shark tears through the defenseless athletes. The crowd on the shore finally notices the horror when Lilith leaps out of the water with a victim in her jaws. The swimmers scramble for the shore as military boats arrive and begin firing their machine guns. However, Lilith is now so fast and agile that she easily dodges every single bullet. Adele and Onel scream at the soldiers to stop, knowing the river is filled with unexploded WW2 shells. Their warnings go unheard. A soldier on the bridge fires at the water and accidentally hits a bomb. The resulting explosion triggers a chain reaction that sets off all the other bombs in the riverbed. The massive series of explosions brings down 2 major bridges and blows manhole covers off the streets. The city is rocked by the blast, and the panic on the shore leads to even more people falling into the water. The underwater shockwave creates a massive tsunami that surges over the banks of the Seine. Within minutes, the streets of Paris are completely flooded, turning the city into a massive lake. Thousands of people, including the mayor, are swept away by the current and never seen again.
Sophia swims through the wreckage to find Adel and pulls him onto the roof of a partially submerged building. As the sun sets over the flooded city, they look out and see dozens of fins cutting through the water. Since the Seine connects to the ocean and other rivers, Lilith's mutated offspring begin to spread. The film ends with a map showing that the sharks have now infested every major coastal city in the world. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more movie recaps.